Today on Juice and Java, President Trump addressed Congress this week. We'll break down his most presidential speech yet.
And we'll recap this week's Mardi Gras activities and preview St. Patrick's Day in Syracuse.
All that and more coming up. Good morning, I'm Jamie Weiss.
And I'm Jackie Prager. Thanks for starting your morning with us.
Let's kick it off with the squeeze for this week's top stories. President Trump addressed Congress last Tuesday night and showed a different side. Unlike in previous speeches, Trump did not slander the media and seemed to portray a smoother, more presidential demeanor. In his address, he talked about tax cuts, increasing the military budget, increasing veterans benefits, improving infrastructure, and much more. One of his main themes for the night was putting Americans first and calling out radical Islamic terrorists. The most memorable moment was when Trump spoke to widow Karen Owens, whose husband died in the Yemen raid earlier this year. This led to a 2-minute standing ovation as Trump addressed her. Overall, his speech left Republicans thrilled, while Democrats were upset by all of the unanswered questions. And Jackie, one of the unanswered questions was about repealing Obamacare, and it's kind of scary that he still hasn't given us an answer.
It's really tough because especially, we would benefit from it, and if they do repeal it, which it looks like they will, then what's going to happen when we're 26 and we can't rely on our parents' plans anymore, and that's kind of scary. But it is really good. I was excited to see that he seemed more presidential. He followed his script, and he was really trying to unify the nation, and I was really excited to see that.
Definitely. So was I.
Well, in other news, on Thursday, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that he is choosing not to be involved in any investigations that will look into Russia's interference with the presidential election. Sessions has previously said that he has not been in contact with Russian officials during Trump's campaign, but it turns out that he did in fact meet with a Russian ambassador twice last year. Sessions said that he did not bring up these meetings because they were not related to the Trump campaign. Now, were you surprised with his decision to recuse himself?
I don't want to get into politics too much, but it is interesting how some people have been shocked that all he did was recuse himself, whereas others are pleasantly surprised. So it's interesting to see. I think the most shocking thing about this is how long it took for Sessions to kind of come out and say something.
I hope that moving forward, that they can just get through with this investigation and nothing else will come up involving him and what he did during this campaign, and that we can just get this investigation over with and move forward and not let it interfere with other different campaigns moving forward. And hopefully that this will be the only thing that comes up during his time as Attorney General, and there won't be any other issues with him.
Yeah, hopefully there won't be any more issues. But other news that is making headlines, the Oscars have been a hot topic this week after a huge mishap during the award show. The presentation for the Best Picture award was a complete mess after presenters Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway announced La La Land for Best Picture instead of Moonlight. Two PricewaterhouseCoopers accountants were responsible for counting up the ballots before the show and handing the winning envelopes to the presenters. But these two accountants accidentally handed the two presenters the wrong envelope. The Academy president Boone Isaacs said both of the accountants will no longer be involved with the Oscars in any way. Isaacs also said that the Academy's relationship with PricewaterhouseCoopers is currently under review. Jackie, I know you watched this. I went to bed because I thought La La Land was going to win.
I waited up for this moment, and I thought it was so weird that they were taking so long to read it, and then all that mix-up happened. I was not surprised that La La Land won, but then when they came out, the first thing that we said was, whoever those interns were who were handing out those are probably fired. But it's really interesting to see what actually happened.
It's crazy, and that's the first thing I rewatched in the morning when I woke up. I was sitting eating my breakfast and just watching the reviews.
Everyone was shocked, but hopefully it was interesting to watch. And this year has been one of the mildest winters that we've had in a while. here in New York, and these warm temperatures may be affecting your breakfast. Because of these abnormal temperatures, the cost of maple syrup is on the rise. New York farmers say that maple syrup production is down by almost 75% this year due to the weather. Sap around New York State is starting to drip like water because it is not the right temperatures for syrup. The ideal temperatures for sap during syrup season is below freezing temperatures at night and up to 40s during the day. Now, even just this week, we saw it go from 60s to today being 12 degrees.
12 degrees. It really scares me, and I'm afraid to go back outside. But it's insane how in the course of a week, we had more than 50, 60-degree temperature differences.
It's bizarre, and especially here in Syracuse, you know, we're known for our winter. We're one of the snowiest cities in the country, and it's just, you know, you wonder and your body gets almost confused. I mean, maybe that's why we had such a big flu season, because our bodies just couldn't handle it. Or you wake up and you're just like, what's today gonna bring? 70s, or when am I gonna need my parka?
Honestly, you gotta dress in layers. That's what I'm doing. I have my dress and then I have my parka, so it's the only way to get through it.
I'm happy it's happening, and I enjoy the warm weather, but a little cold, hopefully for the sap, would help.
A little bit. Well, if you're thinking about taking a trip to Antarctica, you should think about packing some lighter clothes. On Wednesday, the World Meteorological Organization announced that Antarctica reached record high temperatures back in 2015. The northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula reached 63.5 degrees Fahrenheit in March of 2015, replacing the previous record of 59 degrees. The average temperature in Antarctica is around 14 degrees on the coast and negative 76 degrees at the highest points. The area contains about 90% of the planet's water supply, and although it's ice, according to the World Meteorological Organization, if that were to melt, sea levels would rise by about 200 feet. Now, Jackie, I know I couldn't handle that temperature in Antarctica, but it's scary to think that as temperatures are getting warmer, that ice could melt and it would have devastating repercussions.
Here's where you do see the true effects of global warming, and it's really incredible. I know that some people don't believe in global warming, but when you see things like this in Antarctica, which you would never expect, you have to think like global warming does exist, and what's going to happen if it does melt all the ice and the sea levels do rise this much. And you know, we don't know what will actually happen until it does, but that's a scary thought.
Yeah, what about the polar bears and the penguins?
I know, but the good thing about warm weather is that it means baseball season is back. Tim Tebow is proving all that football isn't the only sport he can play. The Heisman Trophy winner and former NFL quarterback signed a minor league contract last September with the Mets. Tebow has been practicing in spring training with the Mets in Port St. Lucie, Florida, to work on his hitting and fielding. In his first workout with the team, he showed off his strength, hitting 9 home runs in batting practice. While he'll be staying on the minor league side of the Mets system, he may end up playing in a spring training game or two. Tebow told reporters that his ultimate goal is to simply enjoy what he is doing on a daily basis. And this is incredible. It's amazing to see what athletes can do and how you can be a very well-rounded athlete and participate in multiple different sports.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I don't know if you've actually been able to watch Tim Tebow play, but I'm impressed that he can go from being a Heisman Trophy winner all the way to knocking the ball out of the park.
And it was really nice too. I saw him when he was speaking with reporters to say that, you know, he has a cause and a charity, and that's also, he's using his fame and what his athletic abilities to do good and give back. And I think that's really important too for athletes to do. But it's nice to see that he's enjoying himself and able to give back.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more, Jackie. Well, after the break, the founder of Fresh U Online is in studio. We'll ask her what it's like to be behind a major freshman publication.
And we'll look back at this year's Mardi Gras celebrations.
Stay with us.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. You're going to get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. So wet.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it,
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you've got, or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Welcome back. Today we have Kate Beckman here with us, the founder of Fresh U, an online publication made by freshmen for freshmen. Welcome, Kate, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So let's talk a little bit about what Fresh U is. How did you come up with the idea and how has it grown?
So Fresh U is a national online publication for college freshmen. So we have over 300 writers that are distributed across the country at schools like NYU, UNC, Chapel Hill, Nova Southeastern University in Florida. So a variety of big and small schools and students from those schools. As for how I came up with the idea, when I was a freshman here at Syracuse, I started a print freshman publication called Juiced Magazine. And from that, I grew this into a national online publication. So in the end of my sophomore year, we launched Fresh U Online, which was no longer Syracuse affiliate, but on campuses across the country.
And it's incredible that it has become national, and you even have some partners like Teen Vogue. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's been really great working with Teen Vogue. We've been working with them for the past year now. So how it works is that once a week, Teen Vogue will republish one Fresh U article, and they'll say this was originally written by our writer and appeared on Fresh U. That ranges from things like how to find the right major to more relatable articles like being a perfectionist and a procrastinator. And in addition to that syndication partnership, we've also been collaborating with Teen Vogue on more original content. So Teen Vogue will email us and say, can you round up responses about this current event? And we will send that out to all of our contributors and round up authentic responses from college students that want to speak on that issue. So for example, the Trump administration repealed the protection for transgender students, and Teen Vogue asked us to round up responses from transgender people in college. So we sent that out to our email list, and then we got responses and had that original article published on the site. So
that's incredible that so many budding writers are getting that experience, especially on a national level. And you're also getting some great experience out of it too. You are representing Syracuse University at the Inventure competition. What is it exactly?
So the ACC Inventure competition is, so of the 15 schools in the ACC, one student team goes to Atlanta to compete at Georgia Tech in this business competition. A lot of the startups range from a lot of engineering students with kind of more tech inventions, but I'm representing Fresh U, so I'm really excited to see all of these other startup teams and get the chance to have a little friendly competition.
It's definitely friendly competition, and there's definitely a really good prize, worth it in the end, $15,000 for the winner. Do you know what you would do if you were able to win that money for Fresh U?
Yeah, so one, we would pay for our monthly tech costs, because as we do have our own custom content management system that costs every month, but I would also try to work to implementing the plan to actually start paying our writers, because it's really important to me at Fresh U, once we start generating enough revenue, to be able to compensate the writers for the articles that we do produce. That's a big goal of mine, to move Fresh U to a revenue model that can sustain and actually pay student writers, because I think there's a big problem with free labor in the college publication sphere for these national publications. That's a big goal of mine.
Definitely. And as we're talking about goals, you are a senior, and what are you kind of hoping that Fresh U will become?
So I'm really hoping to continue on with Fresh U as my career, whether that means potentially going to grad school to continue working on it for the next year, or if these partnerships continue working with bigger companies. But I definitely want to pursue Fresh U as my career. It's come such a long way since I was a freshman, and I really want to continue giving freshmen the opportunity to learn the ropes of journalism, become published on a national scale, and work with these bigger publications like Teen Vogue. So I'm hoping to be able to continue to pursue that once I graduate.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing all that you do, Kate. Thank you so much for being with us. Jackie, over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, when we come back, Kimberly Brown is in studio to recap Mardi Gras. How Syracuse celebrate this day filled with beads, masks, and feather boas? Find out when we come back.
To be given to you freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back. Well, Jamie, have you ever been to Mardi Gras?
I actually haven't. I've always wanted to. I always wanted to go visit one of those parades.
Well, thankfully enough, we have Kimberly Brown here with us to tell us what we can do to celebrate Mardi Gras in Syracuse. Kimberly?
Now, New Orleans was not the only city living it up on Fat Tuesday. Syracuse definitely knows how to throw a good party. The day kicked off with a Mardi Gras-themed brunch downtown in Sky Armory with New Orleans-inspired menu, a few mixed drinks, and of course, a live band to keep everyone on their feet. After that, the party did not stop. Syracuse had their own parade downtown and even crowned a king and queen of Mardi Gras for a charity fundraiser. Tons of local restaurants participated in dishing out tasty foods such as Funkin' Waffles and Modern Malt to help raise money for the food bank in central New York. Now, Armory Square might not have been as lit as Bourbon Street, but Syracuse does know how to party hard for all the right reasons. Speaking of Bourbon Street, a lot went down for Mardi Gras this year. In New Orleans, a drunk driving incident sent around 20 people watching the parade to the hospital, but thankfully no one was killed and everyone had a good rest of the night. The floats are always a beautiful sight to see, and who can't forget about the beads? But one woman who was throwing beads off of a float accidentally threw her wedding ring as well. Luckily, the man who caught it took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook and is trying to get the ring back to her. Now, talking about Mardi Gras this week has given me major FOMO for not celebrating. So I know if I were in New Orleans, I would have definitely been living it up for the whole week. So if you're thinking ahead like me and want to throw your own Mardi Gras party, next year these are the essential things you need to know to have a great time. Number one, have good food. Maybe something with a New Orleans vibe so it seems like you're eating on Bourbon Street with all of your friends. Number two, go all out with your costume. The more green, purple, and gold, the better. The wilder you look, the more fun it will be. And lastly, number three, beads. Lots and lots of beads. It's not only fun for you and all your friends to have a ton of beads around your neck, but also if you bring enough beads, things won't have to get awkward when that one person in your group tries to flash you for some beads. That's all I've got for Mardi Gras, and honestly, I'm looking forward to next year.
Thanks, Kim. So St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Chris, what can we expect about it?
Well, most people think of St. Patrick's Day, they think of beer, parades, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at the history of this historic event in Syracuse and where it all came from. Stick around.
Bottle couldn't dream that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise.
and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Got a quarter?
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner and Syracuse is getting ready to celebrate.
That's right, Jamie. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to celebrate. And Juice and Java correspondent Chris Venzon is here in studio. And Chris, St. Patrick's Day is a pretty big deal around here, right?
Absolutely, Jackie. St. Patrick's Day is a special event for Syracuse. Irish history and culture is practically woven into the very fabric of the old Salt City. The Shaughnessy's, McLaughlins, Leslies, Lightons, Driscolls are only a handful of the still recognizable names that first settled just off Onondaga Lake more than 170 years ago. Back then, things looked a little different than they do right now, but the same green hills that first caught the eyes of weary settlers from across the pond remain, and so does the Irish pride they brought with them. Potatoes, salt, and a canal. It's what made them come, and it's what made them stay. The tale of the 1847 potato famine in Ireland and the easy work found in the salt distilleries of a booming industrial town paints the picture of our city dotted with pubs, parishes, and maybe a little bit of luck. If it wasn't for the abundant jobs commissioned to help build the Erie Canal, Syracuse might have turned out to be a snowy, uninhabited blip in central New York. But today, it's a city with one of the largest per capita Irish populations in the U.S. Think about this. In 1900, nearly 1/5 of the area's residents were Irish. They mostly settled to the north and on a famous hill on the west side named Tipperary. This suburb is home to most of that Irish pride I was talking about. If you don't believe me, visit the intersection of Milton Avenue and Thompson Street. A special light hangs there with upside down with the green light on top and the red on bottom. Legend has it, in the early 20th century, Irish boys in Tipperary saw the traditional red on top, green on bottom as a symbol of British oppression. How could such a superior shade of Irish green fall beneath anything? That may have been the same question those Irish boys asked before they plunked the lights out with stones from the street. The boys shattered the lights so often the decision was made to permanently move the green light on top, and there it remains almost 100 years later. With such a rich Irish history, you can imagine the importance the people of Syracuse place on St. Patrick's Day. Well, you don't really have to imagine it. The city kicks off the celebration in late February with a whole bunch of green beer. It's one big bash highlighted by a parade through Clinton Square, and this year promises to be better than ever. Mayor Stephanie Miner will serve as the parade's grand marshal. She'll lead the celebration of Irish history at high noon on March 17th.
A 1-hour episode this week. I still have plenty to talk about. Bachelor Talk coming up after this.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television. You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles. What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Welcome back, I'm Noah Eagle. Excitement, anger, confusion. These are some of the emotions we've all felt throughout this season of The Bachelor, and they just keep getting worse. It's the home stretch, and I couldn't be happier, sadder, more nervous, you name it. To make matters worse, as I mentioned this past week, a 1-hour episode. I mean, come on. 1 hour is not nearly enough. ABC has to know they aren't losing any viewers at this point. Anyway, it started with Andy coming back and talking with Nick. For those of you who don't know, Andy was the Bachelorette the first season Nick appeared on the show. Now, the biggest takeaway from this encounter was Andy straight up asking her ex whether or not he was planning on getting intimate with any of the girls during fantasy suites. And let me assure you, it totally seemed genuine. That was sarcastic, because Andy totally seemed like she could star in La La Land. I mean, Moonlight. I mean, whatever won Best Picture. My 7-pound dog could have been more convincing. Anyway, Nick said he didn't know, but definitely looked like he made up his mind. In the end, it was a nice attempt to add substance to the show, but this catch-up was very unnecessary. So Andy left, and they went straight to the rose ceremony. 4 girls remaining. Who's out? All of you Corinne bandwagoners, I'm sorry. It was her time. Can you really blame Nick after hometowns? The guy was actually interrogated by her nanny Raquel, as well as Corinne's father, who is exactly what you would expect. That dad who enjoys white wine a little too much and gets kicked out of all of his daughter's soccer games. One thing I will say, how can you dump a girl who legitimately spent $3,000 on you just a few days ago? Can you say gold digger? So no more Corinne, it's time for fantasy suites, and we started with Raven. It seemed like a good date between the two of them, darts with seemingly homeless men of Finland, a nice meal at the end of the date, and Raven accepted the key to fantasy suites. However, like everything in Bachelorland, it came, or should I say didn't come, with a catch. Raven said that she has never been fully satisfied while getting intimate with a man, and I'm sure many people were probably shocked to hear this, but I don't understand how. That's just so Raven. So we'll find out how this week ends, but I want to hit on the other 2 girls really quick. First, Rachel. How is this girl still here? She's the next Bachelorette. The grit of the attorney is unbelievable, and now it's time for her to take a turn in fantasy suites. See what I did there? And of course, I have to end with the one, the only, Vanessa Goat. I'm starting to question her. She's being very wishy-washy, and not just with her accent. Also, who knew she was siblings with Lord Farquaad from Shrek? Is that a pro or a con? No matter how wrong she feels, a special ed teacher is here to win, and I'm not turning back from that pick. She's the clear-cut choice. I mean, did you see those stuffed shells during hometowns? My mouth is watering right now just thinking about it.
Wow. Wow is all I can say just about that last episode.
That was incredible.
It was. It really was.
We saw an end of Corinne, finally.
All the mighty have fallen is the only way I can put that. Corinne, it was bound to happen at some point. As I mentioned, she went home, introduced Nick to Raquel and her father and the whole clan, and it really was just all you could expect. But expect to hear more from Corinne this week. The Women Tell All coming up in a 3-hour episode, making up for lost time last week. I'm very excited.
Well, we know Rachel isn't going to be in because she's the next Bachelorette, but who's the final rose going to?
I'm sticking with Vanessa. She's to me, the clear-cut choice. I think Raven's definitely giving her a run for her money, but doesn't have enough staying power at the end. Vanessa, the special ed teacher, it's just the right story. It makes the most sense.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. That's all for Juice and Java this morning.
Check us out on CitrusTV.com and follow Citrus TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I'm Jamie Weiss.
And I'm Jackie Prager. Have a great weekend, Syracuse.